All right, so welcome back to the second half of our discussion here today. I've got Freddie Bench, the co-founder of Sweetwater here, and Dave Gunder, the VP of Sales. Let's give a warm welcome to these guys and a big thank you for hosting us. So obviously you guys already know that Sweetwater is one of the country's largest craft breweries, a top 20 craft brewery, one of the fastest growing regionals in the country. And I thought it would be nice to sort of sit down with Freddie and Dave and talk about how they've got to this point over the last 17 years, how they've been able to sort of maintain their craft cred amidst just a whole ton of new competitors in the space doing fun and interesting things, and also some of the methods that they've used to build a stalwart flagship, which is sort of the theme for the night, in 420 Pale Ale, and now obviously an IPA as well. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of turn it over to these guys for the first question. Basically, Russell touched on it earlier about how you... Yeah, Russell's very good at touching on things. Let's begin by discussing how you guys were able to maintain such a local focus and build up your roots here over the first decade in Atlanta, in Georgia, before you guys really started branching out, and now only in 9 states, I believe, to date. I think 12 by the end of the year is what you guys have said. So still plenty of room to grow for you guys. Talk to me about sort of the importance of maintaining a local focus.
Yeah, we can do that. Can you guys hear me? First and foremost, welcome to Sweetwater. You guys, I was sitting back there during the first one. Please get up in the middle of our speech and go get a beer. What Dave and I are going to talk about is much more interesting when you are drinking beer, so you're not going to hurt our feelings. We got great beers on there. Bigger picture, Dave and I have been up for 3 days celebrating our 17th anniversary, so cut us a little bit of latitude. I'm not saying I'm tired, but there's not a lot left upstairs. The question... You got me, yeah, man, I'm flat out. I'm ready to go. The question is, what, street cred, who we are?
Importance of maintaining a local focus.
Okay, for us, when we got started, it was never about money or anything else. It's all about the quality of the beer. And for the last 17 years, we've never had capacity, which means we're going to sell as much beer locally as we possibly can and try to take care of the home front. If you cannot be successful in your home market, guess what? You think you're going to be successful at Russell's market? Virginia, Tennessee, anywhere else? No. So for us, we tried to dig in locally, try to create our identity. Really, the Sweetwater brand is an extension of who we are as individuals. And for us, it was really important to showcase not just the culture and the brand and the beers, but sort of the lifestyle. So, really the first, it's hard to remember, especially after yesterday. The first 7 or 8 years we got started, all we really did was, try to support the Atlanta market, the Georgia market, and, create sort of a beachhead for where we can create a platform and ultimately build on that and then hopefully go to the next market. You want to extrapolate on that?
Well, I wasn't here for the first 10 years, so what I can say is that Freddie's right. And a lot of things that we did, too, was keeping true to the brand and getting involved in some of the community interactions, 420 Fest, our favorite charities, that sort of thing. And I think it really resonated with our home market here. Atlanta's a great home market. I mean, craft share right now probably about that 6 or 7% mark in the off-premise, but it's growing, and especially in the on-premise as well. So, great market.
So, for some of the smaller breweries that are in our audience today, and maybe some of the folks watching at home, there's obviously a craft brewing movement, a renaissance, whatever you want to call it, happening. When you guys started 17 years ago, clearly there wasn't that many breweries around. But talk a little bit about why it is so critical to maintain that local focus if you have regional aspirations. If you want to be the size of Sweetwater at some point and be a local icon like Sweetwater is here in the South, Why is it so critically important to be local?
I think there's some crafts out there that are emerging and doing well. There's some others that are probably spreading themselves just a little bit too thin. For us, it's that deep-rooted traction that's been real successful for us. But again, I think every craft has to get its home base in order for them to continue to expand, in the geographic area that close to in their proximity. So it's key.
We kind of backed into this whole regional thing and the fact that when you don't have capacity, guess what? You can't open new markets, right? So the other side of that is quality of beer. The further you ship your beer away, guess what, guys? The harder it is to maintain the quality. Let me see hands, new brewers out there. Within the last year, there's just one? Couple? Who's thinking about it? Great industry, man. I got to tell you what, it's awesome. But, those are two of the big key things right there, man. You got to take care of your beer. It's not when it came off the line and went on the truck, but, man, where's it going? It's going to Russell's place. Is Russell keeping it cold? Is Russell selling it to somebody who's going to keep it rotated? So really, being a brewer is not just making the beer and putting it in a bottle. The business extends all the way until it gets into the consumer's hand. Because, guess what? When that consumer picks that up, and if he gets a 6-month-old beer and it sucks, guess what? You don't have a customer. So, don't be scared of the whole situation, but ensure that you're doing your job as a brewer.
So, when you guys started 17 years ago, like I said, not a whole lot of competitors around you, and probably a lot easier to build some of those key relationships, whether it be with wholesalers or retailers, brand advocates out in the marketplace, really pushing Sweetwater. Now, with so many different breweries out there, how have you been able to sort of maintain that image and all those relationships alongside, sort of a swath of upstart competitors now?
I think that's a myth. I mean, our business has always been competitive. When we moved to Atlanta, there was already 5 breweries here. Bob's back there. He was here. He's sort of the old timer of the group right now. I don't mean that from an age perspective. He's got more hair than I do, so it's all cool. But you know what? The business is always competitive. Are we competing against each other? Are we competing against the big boys, the imports? It is what it is. Bigger picture, you got to focus on the quality. You got to focus on who you are. I think the great thing about Sweetwater is, the brewery is really an extension of who we are as individuals. We're fun, we're energetic, we love great beer. And when you do those things, and the brand is really, an extension of what we like to do from a personal perspective, it's a win.
Right. Dave, how about from a sort of sales perspective? I mean, how have you guys been able to grow to the size that you are now, even like Freddie said, with people growing up alongside you as well? There's a reason why you guys are 140,000 plus barrels in 2013 and others aren't. I mean, sure. How'd you guys do it? I
mean, we're still who we are, and our core message is still the same. It's that culture, it's the lifestyle, quality beer, and it's just on a bigger scale. I think one of the things that we really had working for us is we've got a great flagship. We've got 420. So we've got that identity coming in. I mean, right now, 420's still in these days 54% of our total business. It's about 70-some% of our total draft business. So leading into our home market and then going into some other markets surrounding us, that 420 flagship has really been the signature of the brand and the portfolio. And then you come across with some other great extensions of the portfolio like IPA and our seasonals. We've been fortunate to be able to sustain the growth of that 420.
What's been the most critical decision that you guys have made in your 17-year history to sort of continue along this path that you guys have been on? Was there a moment over the past 17 years where it was really a turning point for the business in order for you guys to be where you are, that you can now look back and say, like, wow, that was a real turning point for us?
I think a lot of that took place in 2012. I know it was only just a couple years ago, but being at capacity, we shut down on a couple key SKUs, and we didn't open up any new markets. We just cut back. In 2008, we opened up Russell's territory in South Carolina. That was the last state that we opened up until 2013. So to make that conscious decision to say, let's get that deep traction in the indigenous 6 states or 5 states that we're in, it was a tough call. And, I came over from InBev, and it's go, 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 a bunch of thoroughbreds, and really I wanted to light it up a little bit, but I had to hold back, and I think it was a great strategy for us.
I don't think there was ever a turning point. It's when we came out of the gate, man, the whole goal was to be true to the beer and have a great time doing it. And that hasn't changed. So you heard Russell, man, 10 years later, he's 3.5 hours, 2 hours up the street. We didn't even sell beer up there. Why? Because we didn't know how to do it correctly. So for us, we were building sustainability. We've tried to build our business in a model that really takes 5 years, 10 years into account versus 5 weeks, 10 weeks into account. We're not growing this thing to try to get as big and as fast as we possibly can. I'm growing this thing to try to do something amazing in 20 years. So we go slow. We go market by market. When we open a market, we dig in deep. And what we try to create is a culture and a platform that we can be successful. But more importantly, we can leapfrog from that lily pad to the next spot. It's baby steps. And, there's a lot of different angles on how we all go to business here. But, Sweetwater's conservative. Well, the only thing we do conservative is open up new markets. Everything else a little fun. But to that extent, we don't have to answer anybody, and we do what's right. And I can't stress enough, be who you are. Do what feels right, and, don't try to be something that you're not. Whoop, whoop.
Please don't drop the mic. Those are very expensive, yeah.
I think this one's mine.
Yeah. It's still ours at the end of the day. So, as you guys have grown up, what's changed? In what ways have you guys changed, maybe for better or for worse, as you guys have grown? And we'll start with Freddie.
What's changed? Boy, that's a loaded question. Everything we've done as we've gotten bigger has really been circulating around the beer and the quality of the beer. When we got started, it was 4 dogs and 3 guys, and we did everything by hand, and it was, it was 22 hours a day. What's changed is we've been able to really significantly invest in not only our infrastructure equipment-wise, but our infrastructure from a personal perspective or a personnel perspective. So we've been able to really raise our bar in the quality of our beer and the consistency of our beer just by making financial investments there. But our head count has gotten amazing. When we got started, literally nobody would even give us the time of day. Now we got folks, everybody from ABI to Miller Coors, banging on our door to try to get jobs. I'm not pointing at anybody in the crowd out there, but there's a couple here tonight. But yeah, this is when you circulate the camera around. They're looking for jobs. Anyway, to make a long story short, what we've really tried to do is, you got to maintain a culture, but you've really got to improve the bench strength. And, that's really been our focus. And Dave's the perfect example.
Yeah, we've started with 2 sales folks just maybe 7-8 years ago, and we're up to a solid team now of about 14. So that's really been encouraging. It's been enlightening. Listen, we still preserve that culture. We work hard, we play hard, we win hard, and we celebrate harder is what we like to say. With that, our team has really come along. Their ability to manage the wholesalers has gotten a lot better, their selling skills, things like that, but we still like to have fun. And on top of the personnel that we've got here, it's the personnel really that we've partnered up with our wholesalers. Our assignment process is a pretty arduous, comprehensive act, if you will, and it's really important. As you know, you're probably, with the franchise laws, you're going to be with the one that you select. So we really take a lot of value and stake in our partnerships with our wholesalers, and have been fortunate enough to make the right decisions for the most part on just about every one of those calls. So that concurrent with our sales team has been real important.
Dave, what do you think the biggest asset is that you bring to an organization like Sweetwater? A man of your experience.
Give him the $5 now.
Well keyed up there. But, I think for me it was I had some great background, was running a wholesaler down in Florida, and I was with Corona, I was with InBev, like I said, and, it's what to bring from those companies. It works with Sweetwater, accountability, structure, but it's also what not to bring from those companies, because there are a lot of things that really didn't mesh with our culture, and a lot of times there's duplications for different egos and admin to no end. Keep our people out on the streets, engage with our retailers, our consumers, our wholesalers, and I think that's been key, is as much to take from those guys as to, kind of keep in the back pocket.
So what'd you take and what'd you stay away from?
I would tell you that a lot of the admin, I think there's, not to say that, analyzing reports and syndicated data and all that stuff is not key. We do a lot of deep dives in terms of the analyticals, VIP, things like that. But, some of the unnecessary admin, I think, is important not to get bogged down in. And then, the presence out in the streets. We heard some of our wholesaler partners up here tonight say, hey, the visibility out on the streets, in our wholesalers' walls, that's really important. And those are the kind of things that I think make a difference.
Right. So clearly, culture is big for you guys, having sort of a fun vibe and a fun personality in the brewery. As Blue and 420 and IPA are continually rolling through the lines behind us, how do you maintain that culture and give the entire sales staff, not just the brewers, an avenue to sort of really embrace what you guys have become known for, which is, leaning back in the stool, being fun, and yelling at people to come sit back in their seats and not having any shame doing it?
You want to do that one?
All yours, MP.
What was the question?
How do you maintain culture when you get to the size that you are? And obviously there's, like you said, flagship 420 is big for you guys, but, there are times when focusing too much on that can sort of pull away from culture in the brewery. So how do you guys balance the two?
Well, I mean, once again, you go back to being who you are, and when we started this thing, we got in this thing because it was fun and it was all about great quality beer. And over the last 17 years, I think the folks that are working for this brewery are all very like-minded. So when you talk about culture and you talk about maintaining the culture, the people are the culture. The only way the culture can change is they're not there anymore. Our culture is really embedded in the fabric of us as individuals. It's an extension. So it's natural. It's not something that we're trying to constantly polish. This is who we are.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is it.
So what happens if you're not here anymore and you have to pass the brewery along, or somebody wants to buy it, private equity, Miller Coors, AB, whoever it is? When you look for liquidity, how do you keep that culture? Whether it's passing it on through family, whatever it is.
Well, the key word is the magic, and the magic is the people behind it. And once that's gone, it's gone. You know what I mean? So I don't think let alone, you get hit by a truck. But once again, it's not just Freddie, it's everybody else who's sitting in this room who works here. They're carrying the torch. They get it. They've been here, 15 years. They understand what we're trying to do and which way we're going. And, it's really cool to see.
So what's been really key for you guys to instill that culture in them? I mean, obviously it's something when, you're hiring these people, you're sort of looking at it and maybe, like Russell said, going with your gut on a lot of these things. But I mean, is there something that you guys do internally to make it, such a fun, vibrant place to work while still executing incredibly well out in the marketplace on all the things that you guys do?
Well, I got to go back to your question to Dave. What did Dave bring? We were really loose when we got started for the last 8 years. We were building foundation, but you guys know what Dave's nickname or title is here? Parole officer. So he came in and kind of whipped us into shape again. And what's magical is it's yin and yang about what we're doing. The only thing Dave let up on was he quit wearing socks when he came to work at Sweetwater. But exactly, he's got those on Tuesday. But it's there. It's a balance. But we're aggressive. We all understand what the goal is, and the goal is to continue to win, to continue to make great beer, and having a great time doing it. And to me, it's finding that group of individuals who can buy into that concept and allowing them to do what they do.
Right.
Yeah, and I think part of that culture, listen, we've still got to deliver. You know, we've got to hit on quality assurance, we've got to hit on sales, wholesaler management, and that sort of thing. But, you know, we've got a great thing going on here. We don't have a ton of conference calls or reorgs or wondering if you're going to have a job the next day. Or if you get a call on Friday, it's not going to be about losing your job or again, you know, a conference call and a restructure. So we've got a great thing to work off of, and it's a quality of life that I think we can instill and provide our employees that goes a long way. And a lot of other companies, the bigger companies, they can't offer that.
Right. Let's sort of switch gears a little bit and talk about some of your product offerings, having some of the workhorses that you do in the portfolio, like 420 or like IPA, like Brew. What do you risk when you put so much into those beers and rely so heavily on a 420? And what do you gain?
I mean, once again, you know, the 420 Pale Ale has kind of done what it's done because of what it is. It's not that we got back there and lit a fire to that one, no pun intended, consistently. It fills a niche. It's a phenomenal beer, but and it continues to grow phenomenally. But you know, bigger picture, when you have a product like that, what it does is create sort of a gateway to all the other beers in your portfolio. And what I see, and you know, we're very lucky today because we got Greg Weber back there with Taco Mac. Who I told him I was going to throw him a bone. What I see is, you know, folks, once you get them into your portfolio, they'll start, you know, moving up and down and checking everything out. So really, it's a gateway or an entryway, not just to the craft beer industry or your brands, but you know, everything else that you're making inside of that. You know, I told you, I've been up for 3 days. I probably had 17 different beers today, and guess what? I love them all. It's great. You know, people are inquisitive. They want to try different stuff out. They want different flavors. They're not just drinking the same beer every day. So, for me, it's gateway. It's sort of the handshake.
But you're still competing against 600 new brands every single year, 600 new SKUs on average that enter the marketplace. So yeah, I mean, it's nice to think that consumers can, you know, move and migrate throughout the portfolio. But how are you guys enabling them to do that? And you know, what are you guys, you know, telling the consumer, whether it's through your marketing or just your image or your identity, that says you should try some of our other stuff now that you've tried 420?
Great question. You know, I think the first thing to touch on, yeah, man, the landscape's getting way more competitive. But you know what? I gave up a long time ago worrying about what the other brewers were doing. We focus on what we do internally, and we try to do the best we can in doing that. That said, and this is going to sound cliche, we brew beers that we like to drink. And it's the same way as when we started, 17 years ago. This is what we like to drink. This is who we are. This is what we can make well. And it's maybe off base. We don't do consumer results or surveys or anything like that. But, hopefully the customer's going to like it and the public's going to like it.
I think we've done some things with our packaging. Our tackle box, fantastic opportunity for a consumer to go in and try 4 different beers 4 different times of the year. And it's been a great igniter, I think, for the rest of our portfolio. We hedge our bets a little bit with the 420, but like Freddie said, it's very approachable. And I think it's a brand or style that people can get real loyal to and come back and forth to. But by the way, there's a great IPA out there. We've got some great seasonals. We've got the dank tanks. It's really not about any one style within our portfolio. It's really about our icon, the Trout. It's about the brand Sweetwater.
Have you guys become known as the 420 brewery? And I say that just in brand, but you see a lot of stalwart sort of flagship brands that sort of become the identity of a brewery almost. Do you guys feel like that's kind of happened to Sweetwater at all? And if so, what do you guys do to sort of let the consumers know, like, no, we have other offerings, and this is why you should be paying attention to us?
It's a great beer, and the pale ales are the number 3 segment within craft, and it's a very healthy segment. But yeah, to some degree, but for the most part, it goes way past that. I think when you start looking at the other styles, the other IPAs we have, and again, like I said, the seasonals, there's a lot of things that we do that get our consumers to go up and down the ladder, if you will, to try our entire portfolio.
Sure.
Let's ask a question real quick. Do you guys think we're the 420 brewery or the Sweetwater brewery? Right? Yeah. I mean, real quick, man, we are who we are, and all we've tried to do is really promote Sweetwater. 420 is one of our brands, but Sweetwater brewery. It's not New Belgium and Fat Tire, it's Sweetwater. Right?
Have you guys adapted as the landscape has evolved to become to have a broader portfolio of offerings?
That's a good question. That's something that we are trying to learn from. We don't historically, since we've had capacity issues, we haven't done really well in the seasonals and the new year-round beer offering situations. So one thing we learned it from, we launched Whiplash in the fall this year, and that beer took off. We DQ'd one, and pretty much we've had a hard time stopping brewing some of our beers that maybe should have been put to bed a while ago. So we're looking at Whiplash, we're trying to learn, and we're trying to evolve. People want different beer and they want to try different styles. So that's one thing Sweetwater's got to figure out. Is this something that, what's the magic recipe? And we're learning, we're evolving.
Do you guys have it figured out, Dave?
Well, I think we've got a good formula. Nothing's looking in too bad a shape right now. Like Freddie said, I mean, sometimes the duration or the lifespan of a seasonal has to be looked at or reevaluated. There's a pride thing that goes along with that to say, hey, you don't want to discontinue a beer, but we've had a little bit of a trend line where we've discontinued our gold medal winners here. But you know what? You have to keep it edgy out there, and if that means going to a different style or new, whatever.
And discontinuing was a response to consumers or production schedules or
Gold medal at the GABF.
go out on top.
Sweet, yeah, I went down.
Yeah.
Motorboat's next.
So what's the philosophy there when you guys make the tough decision to say here's a brand that we could potentially put some resources behind and grow now that we've got some recognition for it, and lay it down and say let's focus behind what's working right now.
Yeah, and I think you look at that with IPA. I mean, we've got a lot of opportunity with that. Our seasonals, I mean, it's 5% of our total business. It's 17% of total craft. Not to hit you with a bunch of numbers, but we've got some great opportunity with our seasonals, and I think come out with a great liquid and a great new name and make sure it's better than the one you're replacing, you're going to be in good shape.
Sure.
Bigger picture for you guys who are just getting started, you're going to put your brands out there and, you think you're going to know what's going to happen. Guess what? You're wrong. Guess who's going to make that call for you?
Consumers.
The public. The public's going to make the call. And if you try to think you know the answer, I'm going to tell you, you're wrong. I've been in this business my whole adult life, and I'm the first one to tell you, I don't know what the heck's going to happen. Last couple beers we put out, they kicked ass in the beginning, and then they sort of tailed off. Guess what? I'm learning from that.
Why do you think that was?
Like I said, I don't know.
You said you were learning from
It
it.
was the gold medal. I think what I've learned from that, I think the consumer wants something different. And, we're going to put out our beers that are mainstays and the core brands. But in addition to that, I think there's a lot of room for, new and different and innovative beers out there.
Sure. So where do you guys see Sweetwater over the next 5 years? And what's the ultimate goal for you and this company?
I'll start with the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal has always been what it was when we started. Have fun, make great beer, sustainability, and, just great culture. And I think we've been able to maintain that, right? Can I get a woo, yeah? But, bigger picture for us, we just got done with this giant expansion. And, the first thing we're doing, we put a can line in 17 years later, which is kind of cool. But bigger picture, guess what's in the can? Can conditioned. You brewers out there know what that means. this is something Sweetwater's been trying to do for a long time. And basically, it's all about the quality of the product. We're going to start all our cans with can conditioned. Once we get a foothold on that, we're going to bring all our bottles to bottle condition. It's going to cost us a boatload of money, but I got to tell you what, the trials we've done, you know, it's night and day in terms of what the beer tastes like.
So still improving on the quality end of things.
Like I said, man, when we started this thing 17 years ago, it's always been about the quality, quality, quality. Secondary, you know, culture. Let's continue to have fun doing what we're doing. For the first time in 17 years, we haven't had capacity issues. So it's kind of nice for us because now we can all of a sudden, you know, start looking at different kinds of beers, maybe do cork and cage products. You know, we're not under the gun so much on the core brands. We can start to be brewers again,
right.
Get out of the construction business. So really looking forward to the next 5 or 10.
So what can some of our audience members learn from how you guys have grown over the 17 years and you're still making subtle adjustments to your product, still continuing to attack the culture and identity piece of your company, still you know, admitting that you don't have it all figured out. If you were to share some advice with some of our maturing breweries in the audience, you know, what are you going to pass along that says, if you want to be a regional brewery, you know, these are the things you need to know?
You know, that's pretty easy. Be who you are. Be who you are, brew great beer, and enjoy life. If you're doing those things, it doesn't matter about the money. If you're doing those and you're checking those boxes, it's going to work out, right? When we first got started, we sold 17 kegs in February. We drank 23. That to me measures success. I mean, I'm serious. Bigger picture, though, you know, the other quality of life and cultural thing we try to say is, you know, I'm 43. Maybe I'll be alive for another 30 if I'm lucky. After yesterday, probably like 24. But you know what? We're here for a little short time on this big ball called Earth. Let's rip it. Let's maximize it. Don't be afraid to fail. All I can say is, man, be true to yourself. Be true to what's important to you, and share that with the customer out there.
So like you guys have said in the past, you guys are here for the good time, not necessarily the long time?
I got the big mic, right? The long time. Yeah, true that. Yeah, absolutely.
What does that mean for you guys?
You know, it's the basics. You know, it's this business, as you guys know, is extremely hard, and everybody can have a bad day. But let me tell you, my office is in that little corner right over there, and the bathroom's right there, and I got to walk by 16 taps every day to go take a leak. How bad can it be? Right? So, you know, it's like that old fishing paraphrase. A good day brewing's better than a bad day at work. Right?
I like the adaptation, yeah. Dave, here for the good time, not the long time. What's it mean for you?
Pretty much the same thing Freddie just said. I mean, listen, if you can't have fun in this industry, you know, you need a little bit of a gut check. You know, waking up every morning, looking at all the great things in front of you, great people, great beer, you know, great retailers. I mean, couldn't dream up a better scenario.
Awesome. Well, guys, I really appreciate it. Freddie, I know there's like a few Advil waiting for you somewhere and probably a really soft pillow tonight after last night. So, yeah. Enjoy. I've been fielding questions on here. Are there any audience questions? Does somebody want to take the mic away from these guys? Does anyone want to call an audible and throw it out here? We got 6 questions up here. What Sweetwater brew might stop production next? Freddie said Motorboat may go the way of Schweet.
No, Sweet's dead too.
Well, you said Motorboat might go the way of Schweet. So is Motorboat going away?
Chris, that's a party.
Question from the audience. Can you hear me? About 3 or 4 years ago, somebody estimated that the craft segment may reach 10% of the total market. That's definitely in the crosshairs now. Where do you see it ending? 15, 20?
I get a kick out of folks that'll say, when is this craft beer bubble gonna burst? I mean, how non-visionary is that? I think it just keeps climbing and climbing, Greg. I mean, right now, like you said, maybe a 10 share. There's an approachable market share of about 40% out there drinking domestics and imports. There, more and more are coming over to the craft segment. So I think the upside is huge. I don't see it ending for a long, long time.
Freddie, your thoughts on the future for craft?
I don't know why everybody's worried about percentage points. Let's make some great beer. And you know what? Once you had a great beer, you're not going back, right? You don't trade down, you trade up. So, we started 17 years ago. I still see the same people that actually helped us bottle 17 years ago drinking our beer. Millennials, somebody said that earlier. We're growing up with this whole industry, and it's going to continue.
Even if the purse strings tighten up, you think people will stay in craft?
That's kind of easy, right? You're going to drink swag and you drink some great beer.
Hey.
I always got enough money for good beer.
All right.
Right?
Do you see the craft landscape evolving in terms of pricing as it grows?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that we all work really hard to create great beer, and we know what our beer's worth. I am a little worried with how many breweries are starting up. And some of those guys aren't going to have a good run. And I just hope that first they make great beer. And secondly, they don't go to the bottom and try to do the old $6.99, $5.99 stuff. Because I got to tell you what, that's going to be bad for the whole industry. First of all, if you do that, you will be out of business real quick. Real quick. But the guys who are leading the way right now, they know what their beer's worth. They know how hard it is to make it back here. It's easy.
When you guys get to scale, is that something that you guys look at? Not that you would go to $5.99 or $6.99, but do you look for ways to offer your consumers a better value product?
I mean, when you talk about better value to me is what you paid for the experience. And our beer I think is phenomenal. We're going canned and bottle conditioned, which is another step to improving our quality and making sure that customers got the best possible beer and experience that they can. Will we start playing pricing games? No.
I mean, we've seen some creative ways that breweries have gone about that. I think with the session trend, you've seen founders go from a 12-pack to a 15-pack and try to keep the same price point there. So finding innovative ways to offer the consumer a little bit more value. What are you guys sort of kicking around in the back room here in terms of ways to keep the consumer engaged with the brand, but at a little bit better value?
I think it's the message we send. Things like the Dank Tank is definitely an energizer for the brand. We don't do a lot of tricky stuff with pricing. We like our consumer to look at us at face value and say that they're getting a great experience, they're getting great liquid. To train a consumer to wait for a tag or a TPR or something like that, I think is deadly. So we want to keep the price elasticity of this segment up. And it's incumbent upon the wholesalers, too, to make sure that they're not fire selling the beer either. They've got that option, and hopefully they don't do it.
One final question here, clarification question. I know this is, I might have to ask one more because we can't end on this. But you said that Saison is 5% of total business. Is that possible?
Seasonals is 5% of our total business, yeah.
Seasonals, not Saison. There you go.
Well, that was a heck of a 17th year anniversary beer if it was 5%.
I was going to say, you guys sold the hell out of that thing. All right, I will leave you guys with, anything that you might want to share with our audience about your guys' brand, about your vision of the craft landscape, something for everybody to take away from tonight that leaves a lasting impression on this Brew Talks here at Sweetwater. To say, that was a great event that we turned out to. I got to hear Freddie say this one final parting word and Dave say this one final parting word. What is your one final send-off to everyone?
I think we're all in a great opportunity here. We've got great consumer pull. We've got great product to sell, all of us, in terms of craft. And I think it's a memorable experience and a pleasurable experience. And the sky's the limit. And just I think raises the step. We talk about our new wholesalers. As we go in a new wholesaler, we leave there and they have an extra kick in their step because they're selling a new craft. And I think that kind of conveys the message that craft overall wants to send.
If you guys are sitting in this room, you're probably you're involved in this industry. Our industry is awesome. There's no other industry in the entire U.S. that's like this. Bunch of young, awesome people doing phenomenal things with marketing and beer and everything else that goes along that. If you're in this room, you got a big part of nurturing that. Take care of it, do the right thing, make sure the beer's good. Wholesalers, make sure the beer's turning, you're keeping the quality there. Let's nurture this thing because it's only going to get bigger and better. The last quoting line and to sign off is, enjoy what you're doing. Have a great time doing it because, once again, you're not going to be here forever and you never want to look back and say, damn it, I wish I did that. So you're not here for a long time. You're here for a good time. Let's drink good beer and have a good time.
Awesome. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Guys, thank you all for coming out. Feel free to enjoy beers for another half hour. I don't know if these guys are still going to offer up a tour of the brewery, but if you guys are looking to check it out, they said they'd offer it up at the end of the night, so feel free. Cheers.